Okay, so picture this. You run into a friend, right? Leaving a coffee shop. You chat for a bit, and when you're leaving, you say, "So long."
Yeah.
But, like, have you ever actually thought about it? Where'd that saying even come from? It's weird, right? We use all these phrases every day without a second thought. But turns out each one has a whole hidden history. And for this deep dive, that's what we're going to get into, like some really fascinating origins for these phrases.
Sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, and the article, The Curious Origins of Four English Expressions, including will-o'-the-wisp and so long, is going to be our guide. It's got some good stuff. We'll be looking at so long, Godspeed, will-o'-the-wisp, and against the grain, getting ready to, uncover some unexpected connections, I think. So to start with, so long, I gotta be honest, I never really say it myself.
Really?
Yeah, it always makes me think of old movies, like it's this phrase frozen in time.
Yeah, I get you. It does have this kind of nostalgic feel, and honestly, you're not imagining it. Like, so long was a totally normal way to say goodbye just a few decades ago.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, and the thing is, figuring out where phrases like this come from is way trickier than looking at, like, single words, you know?
How so?
Well, their meanings can totally change from generation to generation with every new way we use them. So one theory, for so long, is that it's connected to the Irish slan, meaning safe,
Hmm.
which they also used as a farewell.
Hmm.
And then you have similar phrases in German, Norwegian, Swedish,
Hmm.
all kind of emphasizing that time spent apart. It's like
Agreed.
they're building that anticipation of see each other again, right into the goodbye. But to really nail down the earliest use, we got to go to well, it's a pretty unexpected source.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Who?
Walt Whitman.
Walt Whitman. Wait, the
Yeah,
poet.
yeah.
He had to explain so long. Like, even back then, it wasn't that common.
That's the thing. In his 1860 poem, which is just titled So Long,
Mm-hmm.
he actually kind of gives a definition.
No way.
Yeah. He seems to connect it to, like, sailors. People who knew goodbyes could be, well, uncertain. Their so long wasn't just a see ya later. It was more like, who knows what the future holds?
Wow, so their goodbyes had this extra, like, weight to them.
Exactly.
And Whitman, with all his, themes of human connection, it makes sense he'd be into that kind of phrase. Now, since we're talking about farewells, our next one, Godspeed hits different. It's less casual, more like, almost like a blessing.
Definitely. But like a lot of these phrases, where it started is kind of murky. We got to start with the word God itself. Like, are we talking about an actual deity here, or did it come from good? Old English spelling didn't exactly make it clear, so.
Oh, so it's like a linguistic puzzle.
Exactly. And then there's sped.
Hmm.
Old English again. Sped meant success or luck, which is really interesting when you think about how we use the phrase now.
Yeah, Godspeed now is all about wishing someone well.
Right. But get this. Godspeed was actually used, like, as an adverb, a word to describe an action. Back in the 14th century, it meant quickly or speedily.
Wait, hold on. So it went from hurry up to best of luck. That's a complete change.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen overnight either. It wasn't until the late 14th century that you see Godspeed popping up as this wish for good fortune. It might have been linked to the whole idea of divine intervention.
Yeah.
But by the 15th century, that new meaning, it really stuck.
It's wild, right? Like how a phrase can change so much over time.
Totally.
Talk about a journey. And speaking of journeys, this next phrase, it always makes me think of something so vivid. Will-o'-the-wisp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You hear that, you just think about like foggy marshes, those flickering lights trying to lead you astray.
You've hit on something really interesting there. That phrase, it's really tied to a real thing, like a real phenomenon.
Mm.
Will-o'-the-wisp, it first shows up in the 17th century.
Yeah.
Back then, it was will with the wisp.
Huh.
And it's actually pretty similar to another phrase we all know, jack-o'-lantern. It's like they're both taking something mysterious and giving it a name, almost like they're making it into a character.
Oh, totally. Just like jack-o'-lantern, right? Will-o'-the-wisp isn't just some object. It feels, well, almost like a person.
Right. It's like giving a face to those spooky lights you see over marshes. Scientists even have a name for it. Ignis fatuus, which means, let me see, foolish fire in Latin.
Foolish fire. That's kind of perfect.
It is, right. Just imagine those flames appearing and disappearing in the dark.
I know, right? You can practically feel that mystery, that sense of something just out of reach, like you're being led on by something.
And that's what's so cool about how language works. It takes something from nature, in this case those weird marsh lights, and uses it to talk about something way deeper.
Like chasing after something you can't ever really have.
Exactly.
Okay, so from spooky swamps, I guess, let's switch gears a bit, to something everyone's probably felt at some point, right? It's that feeling that, like, you're about to do something, but it feels off. Like it's not right. Going against your gut, going against the grain, as they say.
Yeah, you hear that all the time.
Right. But I bet most people don't actually picture wood when they say it.
It's funny you should say that, because against the grain comes from something totally literal.
Really?
Yeah. In woodworking, going against the grain means you're cutting or planing the wood in the wrong direction, like opposite its fibers.
Yeah.
It's way harder and it doesn't really look that good. So even back then, they knew that sometimes the harder pass, well, it feels wrong.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between, a smooth, easy cut and one where you got to force it, like swimming upstream. But with wood, you can do it, but it's not going to be pretty. And then when you go with the grain.
Then it just works,
Yeah.
right? Like it was meant to be.
Exactly. And that idea of working with or against something natural, well, people have been using that image for centuries.
Yeah.
The first time against the grain shows up that we
Yeah.
know of. Shakespeare's Coriolanus, back in 1608.
Classic Shakespeare. Always summing up the human experience just perfectly. Even back then, they understood that feeling of pushing against something, whether it's, what everyone expects of you or your own gut feeling, or even, I guess, a really tough piece of wood. It's kind of mind-blowing, right? These phrases we just toss around, they've been shaped by, like, generations before us.
For sure.
It's like we're carrying around these tiny pieces of history, echoes of how people saw the world centuries ago.
It really shows you how language is alive,
Yeah.
always changing and adapting to how we see things.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, like, what about the stuff we say today? Will it even make sense to people years from now?
Right. Like, will going viral even mean anything if the internet's totally different?
Exactly. Imagine some future Shakespeare using Netflix and chill as, like, a metaphor for something completely different.
That's the best part. We get to trace these linguistic journeys, like that phrase for quickly, becoming a wish for good luck, and like divine help. Who knows what crazy turns language will take next?
That's why I'm all about these deep dives, man. It's like we just use language, but we don't realize how much is hidden under the surface. All that history in every word.
Totally. It reminds us to, really pay attention.
Yeah.
Like actually listen to the phrases we use, think about where they came from and how their meanings might shifted over time.
So next time you're like saying so long and it feels kind of, I don't know, wistful, or you just have to do something against the grain, take a second. Appreciate that journey those words have taken.
Definitely.
You might be surprised at the stories they tell. And hey, maybe you'll find a whole new love for language along the way.